Water Day is a United Nations event. Everybody asking me, what is on mean? Because their poster says on water. And I was wondering about that too the first time. What do they mean? No water? You know, on water, it's United Nations. So, yeah, see here. It was, what? They don't want water? You know? It's United Nations. So, but it's not really related to scuba diving directly because it's more about agriculture and the fact that everything we consume takes a lot of water. Like drinking a cup of coffee takes a lot more than a cup of coffee because there's all the water used to produce it, to bring it to your cup. So everything we do consumes a lot of water. And of course there's issues with a lot of people being on the planet and agriculture and pollution and all that. So that's what World Water Day is about. Now we picked it because it had the word water. So it sounds like the right day for us. I mean, everything is related with the planet is a finite universe. So everything is related. We prefer to dive in the beautiful clear water than to dive in the polluted rivers full of agricultural rejects. So if you want to know more about World Water Day, I suggest you go to the onwater.org website. And there's tons of information there. And last night I thought I was going to print a lot of it, put it in your folders, and then I realized that wasn't the green thing to do. It isn't. Actually on the website there's somewhere they were saying, you know, do you really need to print this? And there's a file that says not to be printed. And it's a PDF file. You know? So I said, okay, just go there and you'll find everything about World Water Day and the issues around water. So we picked this day to talk about our commitments to the planet. And before I announce our new commitment, I wanted to have a quick look at what we've achieved so far. And if you don't mind, I'll go to our website to have a look at it. So it's not today that we've started being committed to the planet. So among the various things we do, we have 100% aware that what that means is that when we teach scuba diving courses, instead of issuing a normal PADI card, we donate at least $10 per student, and they receive a special Project Aware card with a special shark on it. And of course that $10 goes to Project Aware, which we'll cover in a minute. What is Project Aware? Another thing we do is dive against debris and international coastal cleanup. These are kind of related. They're just done by different people. Dive against debris is the Project Aware version of cleaning up the water. And the International Cleanup Day is something organized by the Ocean Conservancy. The International Coastal Cleanup Day is a day in September where everybody around, a lot of people around the world gets together and clean up some water. We've been doing that for as long as I remember. We partner with the city of Montreal in the last few years. We've done many sites in Verdun. And, we haven't received a special thank you from the city of Montreal for our contribution to the life in Montreal. And then Project Aware, what they do is dive against debris, which is the same thing except anytime you want. Okay. So we do that too. For instance, we do it on a Dive for Earth Day. We're going to do a dive against debris. See, everything is interconnected. Yeah. So Earth Day is in April. It's April 22nd. So on that weekend, we're going to open up the quarry and at the same time do the quarry is our local dive site. And at the same day, we're also going to do some cleaning of the water. Because there's still people dumping all kind of stuff in the water. I guess they don't listen to the news too much. Called the consequences of doing that. Then this is something that happened recently. We received the PADI Green Star Award. We're the first dive center in Eastern Canada to have received the PADI Green Star Award. That's PADI is the Professional Association of Diving Instructors that we teach courses we issue PADI cards at the end of the scuba diving courses we teach. And they have a Green Star Award to dive stores who do stuff green. For instance, the big nice color folder you have, that's not very green. So next time we go to reprint, it'll look differently. But we did that a long time ago.
You just get to reuse it.
But you could.
There you
But
go.
so the idea of the Green Star Award is to do as many things as possible green, like limiting your consumption of water bottles and buying organic fair trade stuff and etc. It's trying to do, there's a long list of actions they give you, and you know, it doesn't mean you're perfect, because we're not. But it only means that you're doing something and you're going in the right direction. Project Aware will talk about it. Shark protection, we'll talk about Shark 2 in a second, because we have a world-renowned shark scientist with us. But April has been chosen by Project Aware as a special month for sharks. They call it the Big Shark Shout Out. Not shoot, but shout. Yes, and we're going to have various events. Again, on the weekend of Earth Day, we're going to have a presentation on sharks and why they matter. And we can talk about sharks later with Jeffrey, because I'm intimidated when he's here. And then finally, we tried to put it all together and call it Sustainable Scuba Diving. That's my own little creation, because I have young kids, and it's very sad when you go scuba diving and 5 years later you go to the same dive site and what happened? Yeah. What happened is humans. So we call all of this Sustainable Scuba Diving. The goal is we should do everything we do as scuba divers so that the next generation could go to the exact same dive site and see the same thing or better. That's it. That's what we call Sustainable Scuba Diving. And that brings us to World Water Day, where we're announcing something new. We're announcing a partnership with 1% for the Planet. Anybody knows what 1% for the Planet is? You do? You do? Good for you. We're the first dive center in the world to join 1% for the Planet. What is it? Is member companies who commit to donate 1% of their sales to environmental organizations worldwide. It's not 1% of your profits, it's 1% of everything you sell. That's what they chose it to do, because it's more transparent, and because we all know, especially when you live in a country where there are governments, everybody's good at reducing their profits, pay less taxes. So it's 1% on the revenues. So everything you buy at Total Diving, 1% goes to something good for the planet.
And the sale too.
Eh?
And the sale too.
Sorry? Yes. And you can have more information on 1%fortheplanet.org. And you have more information on 1% for the Planet in the folder I gave you. Yay! So we will donate 1% of our revenues to approved non-profit environmental organizations. They're just like there to make sure it's true. We signed a contract with 1% for the Planet, and we have to submit at the end of the year financial from the accountant, certified in a certain ways to make sure that it's true. And then they also have a list of approved organizations who can receive money. And we donate to whoever we want in the list of approved organizations. Like, we'll talk about Jeffrey in a minute. He wasn't on the list of approved, but he got approved, and now we can give money to him. Okay? So the first organization we'll support is Project Aware and Jeffrey's organization. Project Aware was created by Patty a long time ago. It's really a scuba diving organization. They're trying to promote the protection of the planet, one dive at a time. And they're an approved 1% partner. And you can get more information at projectaware.org. And you can have more information, of course, in the folder I gave you. And then the Greenland Shark and Elasmo Branch Education and Research Group. I'll let Jeffrey introduce his mission. But sharks are pretty crucial to the world ocean's equilibrium. I think we hear it a lot in the news lately. There's a lot of news about shark finning, for instance, where people cut the fins, throw the shark back in the water and all that. And so we're interested in sharks because they're part of the ecosystem where we go diving. Plus, it's an organization based right here in Quebec. So, that was a perfect match. Now, instead of reading the quote from Jeffrey's press release, which is in your folder, I'll let Jeffrey take the microphone.
I'd like to start off by saying merci to Darcy for inviting me and for choosing Gear to be one of the recipients of your 1% commitment. Not many people like to take the chance to pronounce the name of our acronym,
Right.
which is Gear, or Greenland Shark and Elasmo Branch Education and Research Group. Same thing in français, Groupe d'études sur les Elasmo Branches et les requins du Groenland. Also a green move. We didn't want to have two different teachers with different acronyms like RCMP, GLC, and all that stuff. A lot of people think that because we're based in Quebec, they actually misspell the acronym and they think that the last G is actually a Q because we're in Quebec. But when you read that out, what is it in English? Jerk.
Yes.
Jerk.
And so it's happened before where someone would phone at home and ask, hello, are you with Jerk? And my girlfriend would pick up the phone and say, no, I'm sorry, the Jerk isn't here right now. He's in Bécomo spending all of our money to swim with sharks. And so for many years, everything that we do, or that we did in Bécomo, was all self-funded. I'm a cégep teacher in Drummondville, so right now I'm on vacation. And so everything was out of pocket. We did not receive any, and we still don't receive any government subsidies or grants. So all of our donations that we have right now are corporate. So Darcy is our latest sponsor, but we also have other commitments from companies all over the world. So I'm especially pleased to be here today because since last April, almost a year ago, we're now a registered charity with Revenue Canada, so the people that do help us, we're now able to give something back to them in the form of a tax credit. And also, something big that happened in the last 12 months was that we were donated a research vessel, which was actually a charter boat that used to be based on Lake Champlain. Maybe some of you know Dr. Lou Jankowski, noted physician on hyperbaric medicine. He retired, and his boat was for sale. So he came to one of our presentations in Quebec City at the aquarium. And when we were done, he came over to see me and he says, how do you manage to do all this stuff with inflatables? And even the inflatables we didn't own, we had to borrow them. And most of them were deflatables. Because people that have nice boats don't want to let someone take off with it, so people will let us go with their old boats. And then he said, wouldn't you rather have a nice boat like this? And then he showed me a picture and I said, that would be wonderful, but we can't afford something like that. And so about 6 months later, I sent him an email just for fun, and I said, so have you sold your boat? If you haven't, would you consider donating it to Gear? Because at the time we were not for profit, sans but lucratif, and I'm not a businessman. And at that point, I thought that I was allowed to actually issue tax credits as a not-for-profit, which I found out I was not allowed to do. So then Lou committed to giving us the boat, and I realized I couldn't give him a receipt for his donation. So we became a charity. This took a very long time to obtain. It's very, the procedures are very strict. They do a lot of inspecting. Much like 1% for the planet, to be a member or a receiving member for donation, Nations, you have to be a registered charity in, well, in the country where you operate. And so that's why we were accepted for 1%, and this was an idea that Darcy had when he emailed and said, "Are you a member of this?" And I said, "No." So we became members, and now Darcy can help us. Anyways, when we became a charity, then we were able to get the boat for Mr. Jankowski. The boat right now is at the Véro shipyard, Chantier Maritime Véro in Les Méchins. They gave the boat a complete refit for free. The boat has been equipped with all kinds of scientific equipment and diving equipment also for free. And so last year I'd say we managed to raise about $200,000 for our research, not a penny of which goes into salaries or any kind of financial compensation for the people who do the work. So everything we do is on a volunteer basis, and it's going to continue to be that way. One thing that's interesting when we talk about Water Day here in Montreal, a lot of people might not be much aware that Quebec does have a lot of sharks. In the estuary itself, just east of l'Île d'Orléans, where the water becomes brackish and we start to have more of a marine environment, we have up to 7 species, known species of sharks in the estuary, and then when you go past the Gulf, eastwards of Matane, then it goes up to about 20-some species in the Gulf, and even more so in the North Atlantic. And so when I drive around with the truck and it says Club d'études des requins and all this, people think that I bought it used, and that those logos were on it, and they go, "Ben, il n'y a pas de requins au Québec," you know. And I said, "Well, yes, there are many sharks in Quebec," and then we get into long conversations about it. And what people do here in Montreal in regards to water usage will eventually make its way or affect sharks in the Gulf, because be it contaminants or other pollutants, they will contaminate the immediate area where they're released, but the current will carry these toxins all the way to, for example, Tadoussac, where marine mammals are highly contaminated. Did you know that beluga whales are considered toxic waste? So when they find a dead beluga whale on the shore somewhere that's stranded, they have to dispose of it in a special dump for toxic waste, because they can't just send it to the regular landfill, which is a terrible thing. Sharks being at the top of the food chain, and they also feed on, for example, dead beluga whales and other cetaceans that are killed or die naturally in the St. Lawrence, and so they also accumulate these toxins. The Greenland shark is believed to live upwards of 200 years. It might actually be the longest living invertebrate in the world. So what is released into the water from Montreal, which is an island city surrounded by the St. Lawrence, will eventually find its way into a Greenland shark. So what we're doing here today is not totally disconnected from sharks. And people in Montreal can have an effect, namely by how you use water yourselves, and also how you relate to it and talk to other people about water and its importance, the importance to protect water resources, and how it might ultimately affect sharks in Quebec. So divers are great ambassadors for sharks, even when you're far from the ocean. How many people are divers here right now? Just almost everybody. And so Darcy's commitment is to help us with financially and also logistically. We've already received some wonderful Brusha equipment, so dry suits and BCDs, that will help us do our work and be more efficient and be safe. We do a lot of diving, and the equipment gets a lot of wear and tear. So whenever we can get some new material, we're happy to use it, and we'll be proud ambassadors of Brusha and Total Diving in the St. Lawrence when we do our work. And I could go on and on and on.
Well, we're proud of your work.
Thank you very much, Darcy.
J'apprécie ça.
Yeah, is that you?
Ça c'est moi, ouais.
Oh, wow. What kind of shark is that?
That's a Greenland shark. It's about a 3-meter specimen, which is average size. The rostrum, or the museau, the jaw and the snout, is highly abrased because they're bottom feeders.
Okay.
So they feed on, especially on halibut, so du flétan. And so these are demersal or benthic fish, and then they kind of just crash into it.
Oh, yeah.
And also a very slow swimmer. It's got ampullae of Lorenzini. They can detect electrical fields produced by their prey. And so they're ambush predators. Right now I've been working on a science paper for the last year or so. I finished the draft last night after months and months of work, and I've got now I've sent it to other colleagues that are going to go over. It's going to get reviewed, and then I have to go back to the University of Quebec with it, and hopefully it's going to get published within the next 8 months or so. And it's on environmental conditions that affect the movements of the shark. Every person who's studied this shark so far has always associated its vertical migrations with foraging, with feeding, hunting. And I think that because of the St. Lawrence and its unique conditions, maybe not unique, but different from the Arctic, because this is Dicamo is the only spot in the world, known location in the world where you can actually go and see these sharks in shallow water and not have to capture them first. Every other study that's been done on these sharks, the shark had to be caught on hook and line and then hauled to the surface from about 1,000 meters, which is not very good for the shark. They're not affected by decompression sickness as much as we are, but it does take a toll on it. And so for us to be able to just go into the water, have the shark come and see us naturally, gives us an advantage that other scientists don't have, at least until now. And so we swim by them, we put the tags on them. And also, like I was saying, the area of Baie-Comeau is very different from the Arctic, because in the Arctic you might have a temperature difference between 1,000 meters to the surface of maybe 2 degrees. And then in Baie-Comeau you'll have temperature differences of almost 18 degrees. And so my paper focuses on the effects of environmental conditions, not just feeding behavior. And because everybody right now thinks that these sharks only move because of what they want to eat. And I think I've made a pretty important discovery on the correlation between temperature, light, and tidal movements. And I think I can now predict exactly where to go, when to go to see these sharks. We'll be putting it to the test this summer. As like I said, I can keep on. I'll stay here if people want to talk some more. I've got lots more videos and stuff.
Welcome again.
Thank you. Let's see.
Oh, yeah, very nice. So we have refreshments and organic juice, and I don't know if the cheese is organic.
Yes, it is.
Okay, it is too. And we're still here to talk.